industry.
TNCRadio.Live, your commercial driver navigation station.
Good afternoon. Welcome to TNCRadio.Live. This is the Truckers Network radio show. Now here's your host, Shelley Johnson.
Thank you, Tom. I do appreciate that. Yes, this is the Truckers Network radio show on TNCRadio.Live, where we offer the entertainment, sports, weather, traffic, news, and information that commercial drivers want to hear. Today, we're going to be talking with Trucking Moves America Forward. That's an education and image movement to bring awareness to the importance of the trucking industry. It's actually going to be featured on the #1 pilot Flying J Chevrolet with a Thank a Trucker message in the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Michigan International Speedway, Saturday, August 21st. The industry mascot, Safety Sammy's, also going to be in the grandstands prior to the race from 10 a.m. till 3:30 in the afternoon to greet race fans. With us today are Elizabeth Barna and Wendy Hamilton of TMAF to tell us more. Welcome, Elizabeth and Wendy. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
We're excited to be here. Appreciate it.
I thought I'd start with you, the two of you telling us a little bit about yourselves, what you do, as well as Trucking Moves America Forward and what it does.
Sure. Go ahead.
You can go ahead, Elizabeth. I'll let you go.
Sure. I'm Elizabeth Barna. I'm our Executive Vice President at American Trucking Associations. A lot of what I do is promote the image of the trucking industry and am part of Trucking Moves America Forward.
So I'm Wendy Hamilton. I'm with a Pilot Company. Most of the drivers listening will know us as Pilot or Flying J. And I've been in the trucking industry for going on 30 years now. All of my career I've been at Pilot, Flying J. And Pilot's a proud sponsor of TMAF, or Trucking Moves America Forward. And I'm blessed to be able to serve on the executive committee board with Elizabeth.
That's so awesome. So what is Trucking Moves America Forward? I'm not sure everybody knows what it does, but it sounds really cool.
Sure, it is our industry-wide image campaign. Mm-hmm. We started it over 7 years ago, and it was really to promote the image of trucking, especially our workforce, our professional drivers, to shine a light on the essentiality of the industry, and also to promote trucking as a career option. And so we have been working nonstop to do that, and working with folks like Wendy has made it really easy and fun.
Yeah, one of our other committee chairpersons, Kevin Birch, he always says it's not a movement, it's a mission. A movement always has a beginning and an end, and a mission doesn't have an end. And we're committed to really just showing the essentiality, as Elizabeth mentioned, of trucking to our country.
And putting a human face behind the wheel, I think, helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so folks don't realize it's, don't just look at a truck as a truck, but they look at it as somebody's driving it that could be your next door neighbor, your kid's little league coach, or a deacon in a church.
Oh, absolutely. I'm reading here that since your inception as an organization, the public's perception of the trucking industry has really gone in a positive direction, and that is super. I mean, that's something drivers will love to hear.
It is. I will tell you, we've been doing national polling for the past 7 years, and each year the image, the perception just increases. And our national pollster that we use, a man named Neil Newhouse with Public Opinion Strategies, Neil says every year, Elizabeth, how are you guys doing this? This is not, average for an industry to continue to improve their image. And, for us, it's all about telling our story, and we encourage everybody to do that. All 7.4 million folks in the industry, if everybody just told one person about the trucking industry, their job in it, and how important and essential it is, that really makes a difference. We learned that the more somebody knows somebody in the industry, the much better perception they have of trucking. And so I always like to say, if you tell a public policy maker they'll be more educated when they go to vote on something that affects the industry. If you talk with somebody in the media and talk about the trucking industry, they may have a much better story because it'll be more educated while they're writing it, and not just on what they perceive the industry to be like. It'll be educated. And the motoring public obviously is very important as well. And if we can educate the motoring public, hopefully the highways will be safer.
Absolutely. I'd like to actually see something in driver's training. More of an emphasis on how you drive around semis and what you should and should not do.
Absolutely. You know, we've been working with all of the DMVs, and I think there's 28 of them that require it as a test, but all 48 of them right now require or have it in their driver's manual. It's just not front and center, and that we need to put more of a spotlight on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that we actually ran something on social media with an image of a semi and just a kind of a description that a fully loaded semi can weigh far more than a one-bedroom apartment. Would you pull out in front of your one-bedroom apartment if it was doing 55 miles an hour? Then don't do it to a semi, you know, because people don't think about that. You know, it's kind of crazy. And it's that kind of awareness that I think your group is assisting with, because people don't think about it.
Absolutely right. We've got, Safety Sammy, which is our industry mascot that is going to be up in Michigan this weekend, which we're really excited about. And Wendy can talk a little bit about that. But Safety Sammy, we take Safety Sammy to a lot of elementary and high schools. We'll go to a lot of community events and really talk about the industry, but also about safety around large trucks when you're driving, with the goal of a friendly mascot that looks like a truck, starts to draw attention, but also can make an impression on kids and teenagers, so that when they do get eventually behind the wheel and they're driving, they may not be as intimidated and afraid and make stupid decisions.
Right. Which can kind of go along with teenagers. So if they're actually thinking, that's a plus. It's a plus in the right direction. I don't really think that people really thought about the trucking industry and how important drivers are until they were out of toilet paper last year. It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, we definitely saw how important trucking was. We all knew it already, but I think 2020 really showed it to the motoring public when they went to the grocery store, and the things that they were used to seeing on the shelves weren't there. And boy, when they got there, it was a huge relief to so many people, and truckers brought them.
We have become such a spoiled group of Americans that we expect to have everything when we want it. And I think that was a real big wake-up call. I know different communities experience that if there's, a snowstorm or a natural disaster, but for everyone across America to be looking for toilet paper or, flour for baking really did shine that spotlight on how important it is for the industry, to have the industry 24/7.
Oh,
and I think,
absolutely.
For the drivers out there that drove and are still driving through the pandemic, hats off to them. Many of them stayed away from their families even when they could go home, so they wouldn't bring home anything to their families, but also catch anything so that they wouldn't be sidelined from the trucks. And they continue to do what they do every day. But in saying that, it was a lot more difficult without places to stop to use the restroom or hot meals to get. You just couldn't pull into a truck stop and rest area rather and get something. You really had to plan your route, and people like Pilot Flying J were so awesome in providing at least takeaway meals for them. And Wendy can probably talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we were very, very proud to be able to stand up and be there for the professional drivers that were on the road every single day, but in particular during the height of the pandemic last year. But I'll tell you, I was also really proud of our team members. Our team members play a critical role in the industry by being there and showing up every day. And we always say here at Pilot, our team members are on our front lines, and they sure showed that. last year in the height of the pandemic, when things were changing in states and regulations were being pushed out. Wear a mask, social distance, close this driver's lounge, open this driver's lounge. Our team members in the stores really stepped up, and they've always been a hero in my eyes. But last year, I think they along with professional drivers really showed that they are essential to our economy and to our country and to keeping our country running. So we were proud to serve those drivers that were on the road and who never stopped. I mean, most people, and me included, went and worked at my home, and I was safe in my home. My family was safe around me. And our team members and professional drivers never blinked. They showed up to work and they delivered.
Absolutely.
And every single day, I'm grateful for each and every one of them.
Yes, there are frontline workers, no doubt.
They
and
certainly
keep the country
are.
rolling. And actually, a lot of people don't realize our economy wouldn't have grown the way it has, especially since World War II, if it weren't for the trucking industry. It was super instrumental in the growth of the United States and actually North America. So we have to go to break here. We're talking with Elizabeth Barna and Wendy Hamilton about Trucking Moves America Forward. It's a wonderful organization that's creating awareness for the trucking industry and drivers. You're listening to the Truckers Network radio show here on TNCRadio.Live. I'm Shelley Johnson with Tom Kelly. We'll be back with more coming up. Becoming a truck driver is easy task. You have to meet several requirements. After reviewing and meeting the requirements, you'll need to obtain a CDL, or a commercial driver's license, through the DMV in your state. To get your CDL, you must pass a knowledge and skills test. Many drivers attend a trucking school to help prepare them for the tests. After successfully passing the CDL test, you now have your Class A CDL. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? Well, there's a little bit more to becoming a professional truck driver than just passing a few exams and getting your CDL. Trucking, as you may know, is not an easy career. It can be stressful, dangerous, lonely, and emotionally draining. Drivers need to make it a priority to become fully prepared for life on the road. Being prepared for life on the road can help avoid unnecessary mistakes and losses. Attending a trucking school is one way for drivers to prepare themselves for their new adventure. However, drivers don't always learn everything they need to be successful during their time at trucking school. Trucking schools will cover the basics for classroom instruction and in-driving modules, but new drivers need to learn more than just the basics. How do new drivers acquire the right training? The Truckers Network is proudly partnering with Advanced Pre-Employment Training, which is a training course for both professional drivers and trucking companies. Advanced Pre-Employment Training helps grow your industry knowledge by providing training courses on all the important topics for becoming a successful driver. These include pre-trip inspection, company representation, communication, document organization, bill of lading, refrigeration units, weight and axles, safety, and industry knowledge. Their focus points are to increase stability and growth in the business, eliminate mistakes and financial losses, maintain company safety ratings, and eliminate drivers and owner-operators quitting or losing their jobs. The Truckers Network members can now save 5% off advanced pre-employment training courses by using our exclusive promo code. Become a member today of the Truckers Network and save instantly on the industry's best products and services. Visit the Truckers Network website at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. That's app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
You're listening to TNCRadio.Live. Remember to tune in to the Truckers Network radio show with Shelley Johnson weekdays at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern.
This is the Truckers Network radio show on TNCRadio.Live. I'm Shelley Johnson with Tom Kelly, and we're talking with Elizabeth Barna and Wendy Hamilton about Trucking Moves America Forward that's going to be featured at Michigan International Speedway this weekend. Wendy, I understand the billboards and the design of the #1 pilot flying J Chevrolet with the Thank a Trucker message in the NASCAR Xfinity Series is really going to be cool.
Yeah, so this year, Pilot Flying J invited Trucking Moves America forward to be part of our race car branding and to help put trucking in the national spotlight. And, as it's the cars running around M.I.S, we really hope it's going to shine a light of the importance of professional drivers to the fans that are there at Michigan International Speedway and the ones that are watching it on TV. We're going to race in the Xfinity Series on Saturday, August 21st. And we're just super excited about it.
I think one of the coolest things is we've got our mascot, as I was talking about a little bit earlier, Safety Sammy there. And we are able to have him in Fan Alley from about 10 a.m. to 3:30 and just meeting and greeting all the attendees and hopefully really, talking about how great the industry is. But we've also got the 2 billboards out on US 12, both east and west, on your way in and out of the speedway.
Yeah.
With the Thank a Trucker and to urge them to come and find Safety Sammy. So I think it's going to be fun all the way around.
That's a really good location, and people are definitely going to see it, especially if traffic's a little slower, which sometimes it is as people go into
That's
the
what we thought.
Yeah. I've gone to that racetrack, and sometimes you're backed up for a little bit, and you used to be able to tune it in on the radio. I would imagine you can still do that, but so you could get some updates before the race as you're going into the racetrack. But yeah, people are kind of a captive audience, and they're going to say, "Hey, that's pretty cool." And this is absolutely what's needed, the messaging, and put it top of mind to people.
Yeah, I think it's going to be real fun to see Safety Sammy in pictures with the race fans and really just engaging people to post their pictures online with the hashtag Thank a Trucker and just see how children and adults and teenagers all engage with Safety Sammy will be exciting. He's also featured on the very back of our race car. So if a car, when our driver's in the front, of course, the car behind him, if they have a dash cam, Safety Sammy will be waving. So we thought cool. That was a fun little touch to the branding of the car.
Oh, I like that. That's great.
Well, it's funny because somebody asked me, they said, isn't he going to fall off if he's on the back of the car? I said, oh my goodness, it's just a decal.
Right.
Branded on the back.
So did your organization come up with the Thank a Trucker slogan?
We did. TMAF did come up with that, and we started using it really around, we also do a lot of press around the truck that hauls the Capitol Christmas tree to Washington, D.C., and also around Wreaths Across America.
Yep.
And we thought that might be a pretty cool hashtag. So we've been using that now, I think, for 3 or 4 years. And, it really came to light or more public during the pandemic, where folks were really jumping on the bandwagon for the hashtag Thank a Trucker.
And it's good to see that people are doing that. And you want to keep them doing that because people get complacent, I think.
They really do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, being able to see, and I'm sure all of you did too, I know Wendy certainly did, driving down the highway and people on the side of the road with, thanking truckers or, the police that would escort a truck off the highway to take them to a hot meal, during the height of the pandemic. But just the support, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts making, lunch bags and dropping them off at way stations.
Yeah.
Just really, I think, touched everybody's heart, and hopefully, they will continue to feel that way about our industry.
Yes, absolutely. Well, the drivers are frontline workers, and they really did have a terrible predicament. There were a lot of times they couldn't find a place to eat or even use the bathroom, which is, oh my goodness. I mean, and to try to plan around that, sometimes that's really hard to do.
We spent a lot of time working with the state DMVs and DOTs and even private institutions to try to keep public restrooms open for them and somewhere, that they could pull off and sleep if they couldn't get to the next area they needed to go.
Yeah, and certainly our travel centers were open and ready to serve drivers as the regulations allowed us to within that certain county, city, or state. And so I will tell you one thing we saw multiple times is the community coming in, and whether it be a local church, we had a mom with one of her young children come in, and they gave us money and said, buy truckers whatever they need food wise.
Oh, how
and
wonderful.
We want to, here's $100. Please help, please put this towards some meals for some professional drivers, because we're so incredibly grateful for them. And during the height of the pandemic, when our stores were open and our restrooms were open and our restaurants were open, seeing the community come in and really just have an enormous amount of gratitude for the professional drivers, just to come in and even say thank you to them. Maybe they didn't give us, give money to buy some food for them, but they just said thank you, was so heartwarming. And it not only helped the drivers, but it helped our team members to see that happening with those that we're blessed to serve. So, there's countless stories we have where that happened last year. And even now, we're still seeing some things like that happen even now. And it's great to see.
Absolutely. And that made a huge difference for the driver.
I actually got a card yesterday in the mail that was addressed to all truck drivers, care of Elizabeth Barna. And it was from Carrie and Rob Gardner out of Park City, Utah. And they just, I won't read the whole letter, but the first paragraph said, my husband and I have driven about 40,000 miles in the last year and wanted to thank all the truck drivers who have shared the road with us. We cannot thank you enough. And it goes on and on and on about, everything they did and helped to deliver the goods. But, we're still getting these letters, and hopefully that will continue, that the, respect of our workforce will continue. But it is really heartwarming.
That is definitely. So what motivated the inception of your organization? Did everybody just finally say, we need to do something, we need to create awareness? What planted that seed?
I think one of the seeds that was planted was there's so many organizations and companies, and everybody was doing their own part to promote the industry of the industry or just of their company. And there wasn't a overall message. Everybody was very effective, but it was just hitting little spots here and little spots there. And so we felt like if we all came together to promote trucking, we would see an increase in the perception and the way people viewed us, and how we could use our power as one and united to really educate about how essential we are and what a great career option we are. Everybody continues to have their own programs, but they're all complements to Trucking Moves America Forward. And one of the great things about TMAF is we love to publicize everybody else's successes and positive stories in the industry. And so if you look on our social media or you look on any of our blogs or things that we put out, you will see that we are just talking about the industry overall. Around Christmas time, we highlight all the charity work that our industry has done and urge companies and individuals to turn in their own stories of what they've done this year to, provide and to help support their communities. And so we felt like if we had one big umbrella, everybody else could fall under it. But as a united voice with the same goal, we could be a lot more effective. And by our polling results, it certainly has proven to be a huge success.
And
go ahead. I'm sorry, Shelley.
No,
if you would allow me, just let me build on Elizabeth here real quick. Is I think, Pilot's been a proud partner of TMAF since its creation in 2013. And we've actually donated almost $3 million to the organization. And that's really important because what Elizabeth was saying as having that overall umbrella and that one voice, Pilot really saw the benefit in that. And that's why we chose to be such a, be a founding sponsor, and to also stay with TMAF as long as we have, is because we're seeing such wonderful progress in what's happening with the industry and the image of the industry through Trucking Moves America Forward. And we do see it as a united front within the trucking industry. And it is a all-encompassing organization that its only goal is to make trucking the highlight and make trucking shine in a spotlight where it deservedly should be.
And it's wonderful what you're doing for TMAF. It's absolutely, that's exactly what's needed. And thank you for helping TMAF the way you have. And certainly a unified voice. It speaks louder. And people notice, and that's what it's all about. And then people start to think, and you create the awareness, and you create the momentum, and that's exactly what you're doing, which we want to hear more about. We actually have to go to break here. This is the Truckers Network radio show. We're talking with Elizabeth Barna and Wendy Hamilton about Trucking Moves America Forward. It's a tremendous organization. Stay tuned for more right here on TNCRadio.Live. The best GPS for truck drivers. Although there's several GPS apps, it's better for truck drivers to rely on a system that's specifically geared toward their type of work. Smartphone apps lack the ability to show truckers the roads that are inaccessible to trucks. Buying the right GPS for trucking can be tricky and overwhelming. To save you from tons of research and reading reviews, the Truckers Network has listed the best GPS devices for truck drivers in 2020. Check out their website. Here's a brief list. Garmin Diesel 580 LMTS. The Garmin Diesel 580 LMTS is an easy-to-use GPS with hands-free Bluetooth and built-in Wi-Fi. It features customized truck routing for the size and weight of your truck. It also provides helpful predictive route warnings for dangerous curves, steep grades, bridge heights, weight limits, and more. You can find nearby hotels, restaurants, and parking with their easy brake planning. This GPS is truly made for the long haul. Other features include customized truck routing, built-in directory of truck and trailer services, easy brake planning, and service history log. The TomTom Trucker 620. The TomTom Trucker 620 is a 6-inch GPS navigation device that allows you to get the most out of your driving time. The TomTom Trucker 620 can connect by Wi-Fi, and that lets you update without a computer. It makes calling and messaging easier by providing hands-free calling and smartphone services. It also provides free real-time traffic updates and truck maps throughout North America. Other features include battery lifetime up to an hour. It reads messages out loud from a smartphone. It's compatible with Siri and Google Now. It has customized truck routing. The Garmin Drive Smart 61 LMTS. This Garmin device makes trucking much easier. The Navigator features a collection of smart features, in addition to easy-to-follow instructions and helpful driver alerts. It also provides hands-free calling, live traffic information, and built-in Wi-Fi. With this GPS device, all you have to do is look up and drive. Other features include voice-activated navigation, Bluetooth calling, select live parking, and a rechargeable lithium-ion battery that lasts up to an hour.
A report of child abuse is made every 10 seconds. These crimes can't be excused. Help Attica raise awareness. Donate or be an Attica member for just $25 a year. Become a hero for kids. Be a hero for Attica.
This is the Truckers Network radio show on TNCRadio.Live. I'm Shelley Johnson here with Tom Kelly. We're talking with Elizabeth Barna and Wendy Hamilton about Trucking Moves America Forward. They're going to be featured at Michigan International Speedway, NASCAR race this Saturday, which is really exciting. Elizabeth, what are some of the ways that you're highlighting the workforce in the trucking industry? I understand that's one of the things you also work on.
We do at Trucking Moves America Forward. We've really accelerated our effort of trying to humanize the industry by developing some new campaigns, to put a face behind the wheel and to put a face on the industry overall. So some of our efforts is something called Meet the Truckers. and it shows the human side, but talks a lot about their personal stories, why they got into the industry, how they started driving. So we usually take a month and focus on something, a segment of the industry, or on drivers with safe driving miles. But Black History Month, we highlighted a number of Black professional truck drivers, women of trucking during Women's International Month. We, every year we spend about a month interviewing and talking with the drivers that drive the Capitol Christmas tree from the home state. It was cut down all the way to Washington, D.C. We follow them and learn about their stories. Our newest addition is the Safety Champions, and we have a number of drivers that have reached 4 million miles without an accident that we have really been highlighting during the pandemic, and now is really highlighting some drivers on the front lines, and a number of other ways to do that. But we're always looking for people to highlight. So if anybody out there that's listening wants to be highlighted on TMAF, they can just send an email to tmaf@trucking.org and tell us their story and a way to contact them. And we'll pick up the phone, interview them, and highlight them on our website, our social media, in our blog, and all sorts of other things. But also there's another, as I had mentioned earlier, families are so important. And Wendy, do you want to talk a little bit about the generations of trucking?
Yeah, so one of my favorite aspects of the trucking industry is how generations pass down the career. And, part of Meet the Truckers, and this was one of my most favorite campaigns that Trucking Moves America Forward has ever done. Part of Meet the Truckers is to highlight generations. And, very good friends of mine who owns a trucking company, Baylor Trucking Company, her grandfather started Baylor and her father took it over. Now Carrie Baylor runs it. And I am just so incredibly in awe of how trucking gets into families' blood, and how a dad or grandfather can just pass down that passion of serving our country through driving a truck and really just keeping America moving. And it's just neat to sit back and watch the generations of trucking and how a family progresses through the industry and through the career of truck driving.
It really is. And it is amazing how many generations of families have been involved as drivers, and they're passionate about it. What also is interesting, roughly 30%, I believe, of the drivers are veterans as well.
I was just going to say our industry is so patriotic, so giving, and so passionate about what they do. It is just a pleasure to be part of it. There's a natural disaster and we get just inundated with phone calls asking us, hey, I can take the load. What do they need down there in Louisiana? Yeah. Let me know. And I'll volunteer to do it. And I don't think you see that in other industries, but it's the same as you said, that, 30% plus, I believe now, are veterans. And that just makes that worker just so much more valuable and just, They serve their country, and they're serving their country in a completely different way by serving America, driving wise. But it's just heartwarming.
Yeah, we firsthand were able here at our we call it our Sales and Support Center, which is our main office, and we were firsthand able to watch a generation. And celebrate one of our own professional truck drivers. Many people don't realize that Pilot also has a fleet of trucks. And we were able to celebrate a 40-year professional driver, Daniel Abshire, here at our offices in early July. And what was neat about it was his dad was one of our very first truck drivers. And so that was
so cool.
Really cool to be able to be a part of that and watch that and just experience it. And, like Elizabeth said, so many veterans serve our country through the professional driving industry, but also within our stores. We have a lot of veterans within our stores too, and a lot of veteran team members that we just really appreciate and are thankful that they chose the career once they came out of the military of being a part of the Pilot Flying J family or in the trucking industry.
You know, I don't think a lot of the general public realizes how generous the trucking industry really is and how drivers really go above and beyond. Quite often, they're the first ones at an accident scene, and they will stop to help until rescue personnel can get there. I mean, with countless stories. And I remember as a child growing up, my father always said, if you're ever in trouble, you know, a trucker can help you. I think he told me more of that when I was learning how to drive and that sort of thing, you know. And if the weather's bad, watch what the people in the semis are doing, because they are the professionals. Do not drive faster than they're driving, you know, that sort of thing.
I think you're right, especially on the accident scenes. I mean, a lot of professional drivers also, you know, are volunteer firemen or volunteer EMS when they're at home. And so they are so qualified and they know exactly what to do. I mean, plus the capability of being able to reach, you know, 911 or whoever they need to reach. But they are, you know, our trucks and our industry deliver and live in every congressional district in the United States, and no other industry can say that. So we are so engaged in our communities, whether it's, you know, the CEO of the company or the driver themselves or the families. And I think that's what makes it so, you know, important for everybody to realize that how essential we are, but also how giving we are. And, you know, I don't know how many small towns I've driven through that have parades and they're just lined with trucks, or that, you know, the St. Jude's has been because, you know, a trucking family has decided to raise money, or for United Way or for anybody. But we've got a number of drivers I know, especially one in Atlanta, Georgia, Herschel Evans. He drives for Yellow, but he does an annual truck rodeo, just a charity one for Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation. And, you know, drivers from all over the United States will come to Atlanta for that weekend just to participate in this charity event and to give to the charity. And they have raised just, you know, I think it's close to almost $200,000 in the past few years. And that's just from the, you know, good heart of Herschel putting the time and effort into it. And that's a lot to do. You know, and he's got a lot of volunteers of his trucking family, friends, and other drivers that help him. Yep. But to be able to put something on like that is pretty special. And I know there's many other drivers that do that. We've got another one, Tim Shelley, with Big G Express, does a motorcycle rally for St. Jude's. And so, you know, this is just a great giving group of people, and especially giving back into the communities. And I know companies like Pilot do so much more than that on a corporate level.
Yeah. And, you know, just to, again, build on what Elizabeth was talking about, these are the stories we know about.
Exactly.
There are countless, I would say just countless other stories that we've never heard of, where a professional driver or his or her family are really making a difference in their community. And you know, we don't hear about all the stories of how drivers and companies in a community make an impact. But, you know, the ones we hear are amazing. So I can only imagine what the ones we don't hear are like.
Well, and it's wonderful that you're getting out there and you're creating the awareness, because news stories typically are so negative. You're not hearing the positive stories, and it really can slant the perception. And what you're doing for the trucking industry and all of the drivers is just marvelous. It's exactly what's needed, so people really understand, hey, you know, this is a very cool industry and we need to give drivers respect. So we need to go to break here. I want to cover some more information. This is also very exciting, especially going to M.I.S. this weekend. You're listening to the Truckers Network radio show on TNCRadio.Live. We're talking with Elizabeth Barna and Wendy Hamilton with Trucking Moves America Forward, and we have more information coming up, so stay tuned. A trucker's lifestyle can be a gloomy place at times. The long days, stressful work environments, and loneliness have major effects on a driver's life. The dark side of the long-haul trucker lifestyle is often overlooked and not addressed. As a result, many drivers suffer from mental and physical health problems. Before entering the trucking industry, long-haul truck drivers need to be aware of the good and the bad that come with this lifestyle. It's difficult to stay healthy. Being in good health is a rare thing for long-haul truck drivers. Life on the road does not give drivers many opportunities to live a healthy lifestyle. When you spend the majority of your trucking career on the go, your food options are limited. Although taking an exit to get McDonald's may seem like the easiest option, eating fast food for every meal for weeks at a time can cause serious health issues. Obesity is one of the most common health issues in truckers. If you don't watch your diet and exercise, you could end up developing a serious health issue. Say goodbye to a regular sleep schedule. The trucking industry runs 24/7, 365 days a year, so having a regular sleep schedule is rare for long-haul truckers. The loading and unloading times are often never the same. At times, a driver will deliver a load at 2 a.m. one day, then 1 p.m. the next day. In addition to the inconsistent load times, drivers can make multiple deliveries a day. This creates a lot of stress on the body and leaves a driver operating without much sleep. You'll feel lonely. It's not uncommon for long-haul truck drivers to feel lonely when they're on the road. Drivers have very little face-to-face interactions while working. While this may seem like a good thing for some, drivers can start to develop depressive symptoms. Depression is a common side effect of trucking. To help avoid feeling depressed on the road, talk to your friends and family on the phone at least once a day. As a long-haul truck driver, you can often feel like you're missing out on your loved one's life. Communicating with them daily will help you feel less lonely. It's hard on your relationships. Long-haul trucking can strain your relationship with your significant other. Being away from your loved one for weeks at a time is never easy. In addition to being apart, many drivers struggle with balancing their work life and personal life. Relationships already take a lot of work, but long-distance relationships take even more work. When you become a long-haul truck driver, it's important to be willing to put an extra effort into your relationship. Here are some quick tips to having a healthy relationship as a long-haul truck driver. Communicate daily. Spend as much time together when you're not working. Consider therapy. Avoid arguments. Trust each other.
TNCRadio.Live, your commercial driver navigation station.
This is the Truckers Network radio show on TNCRadio.Live. I'm Shelley Johnson with Tom Kelly. We're talking with Elizabeth Barna and Wendy Hamilton about Trucking Moves America Forward. It's going to be featured at Michigan International Speedway, a NASCAR race this weekend. We have Tom Kirk, who's a professional driver, with us right now. And you, Tom, you said you had a question or you had a statement or?
It really is more of a statement. I want to thank Wendy and the team at Pilot Flying J. A lot of drivers know back during the pandemic, finding food, coffee, clean bathrooms was a challenge. And Pilot Flying J was one of the chains that did step up and tried. Now, some days were better than others. Some locations were better than others, but they made a real sincere effort to try to make sure that some food was available. And I think one of the lessons they learned from this that we're seeing now is they're bringing more and more options in for drivers, whether it's salads, easy grab-and-go sandwiches. So if something does happen, drivers are not walking in at 3 o'clock in the morning and looking at stuff on the roller grill that you're wondering what century it was. And I'm not saying that was at your location, but at Pilot Flying J, but at some of the truck stops around the country, you kind of look at that and goes, okay, yeah, I think I'll pass. And I know a lot of drivers that drove of a night were basically living on potato chips and cans of soup or ramen for weeks, if not longer at a time. So I would like to thank you guys for making an effort to try to make things as good as possible for us out here.
Well, hey, Tom, this is Wendy. Thank you. First off, thank you for your kind comments, but more importantly, thank you for your service and the way that you deliver the goods in our country. We are blessed every single day to serve professional drivers. Our team members are passionate about their jobs, and just as you are passionate about your job, I appreciate your kind words. It makes my heart smile to hear that we took great care of you, and hopefully we'll continue to shine on for you.
You definitely made an impression on me to the point where you're one of my preferred truck stops now.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate hearing that. You just made my entire day and night. So thank you.
Excellent. Now, Mr. Kelly, you said that you have a question.
Yeah, my question's this. I appreciate what you all are doing, and I think it's fantastic. The question is, though, this has got to be hard. What are your big stumbling blocks? What makes things difficult in trying to get the message out at times?
I think initially, this is Elizabeth, but I think initially, when we started it, we had so many great ideas and thoughts, and we just didn't have the time. There weren't enough hours in a day or money in the, bank to help us do that. So we've had to be pretty patient as we've gone through each year. I think in the very beginning, one of the hardest things, at least for me, was we had to build trust within the industry and also build pride within the industry. And I think that took us a couple years for people not to say, I'm just a truck driver, instead of to say, hey, I'm a truck driver and this is where I deliver, and be proud of the career that they had chosen and the work that they do. And that took us, I would say, Wendy, probably 2 to 3 years to really get the industry on board. But once we did, it's been people like you. It's been lots of local grassroots efforts to get the message out about trucking. There's always, there's a lot of things we really want to do that we can't do, even with, pilots, generous donation and ATA's donation. There's always room for more funding to be had. But we like to say we're the low cost, movement that can really make a difference. Wendy, I don't know about what you're thinking.
Yeah, Tom, when you first asked that question, I thought, wow, there's not much that is hard about this, and it's because I love it so. Every other week, Elizabeth and I have a conference call with our executive committee, and it's one of my favorite things I do in a week, just because we get to talk about something that I'm personally passionate about, but that the whole committee is passionate about. So when you first asked that question, I was like, gosh, I don't know how I'm going to answer that. But I think Elizabeth's right. I think it was, having the patience to see it all come to fruition over the last 7 years. But also, for me, I want to get that word out quick. And I want, I want to have, we talked about negative news earlier in this segment. To have the positive news that counteracts that negative news is so important to me. And the patience was the hardest thing for me by a mile. But then also, Elizabeth alluded to this earlier, our industry is very humble. From the trucking company owners to the executives at the trucking companies, to the dispatchers, to the professional drivers, to, again, our team members in our stores. They're extremely humble about the job they do. And to be able to say, you are essential, and you need to hold your head up and say, I am essential. I am a frontline employee in our country. And I'm a frontline person that delivers every single day exactly what this country needs. I mean, I am a true hero. And, to be able to kind of break through that barrier and tell people what we know, but then make them also believe it about themselves, has been really fun to watch to come to life.
That's huge.
One of our recent guests referred to drivers as the invisible frontline workers, which is kind of funny if you think about it. They're driving, 60,000 pound trucks and they're invisible, but people just kind of, usually the only thing people think about truck drivers is, man, he was too slow getting on the highway, I had to go around him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you have to realize, but everything you've got in your room you got it through a truck.
That's right.
Everything.
Yep.
Yeah. There's nothing that wasn't brought by a truck. Seriously, nothing.
And that's one of the things that TMAF we really try to do is we do a lot of what I like to call as social shareables, but social media. And it's, a graphic with a fact on it. And so around Christmas time, or Thanksgiving, how many turkeys were delivered by a truck, or your Halloween candy. Football season's upon us now, not just the, beer and hot dogs, but the football itself and the seats that you're sitting in. Try to put it so somebody looks at it and thinks, oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way. But we found in a lot of the polling that we've done is that people will remember a fact if it's attached to a photo or a graphic much better than they do if it's just a bullet point, on a piece of paper.
Sure.
And so we really work hard with our social media to do that.
And you're doing a marvelous job. Now, Elizabeth, you said that you wanted to talk about Truck Driver Appreciation Week as well. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit about that?
Sure. I know we don't have a lot of time left, but Truck Driver Appreciation Week is September 12th to the 18th. And also National Technician Week is the following week right after that, the 19th to the 26th. And we're really excited about it. At TMAF for Truck Driver Appreciation Week, we place billboards across the United States, working in conjunction with our state trucking associations. And it's really to thank the driver. And we'll put a real driver's face up there, somebody from that state, maybe their truck or a truck in that state as well. And just let America know that it is Truck Driver Appreciation Week and that we really appreciate, all of the work that the drivers have done and their families. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but these drivers out on the highway can't do it without the support of their family. And so this is a good week to thank the families as well. But we're going to be doing that. We've got a lot of other, we've got some radio ads that can be placed locally. We've got a number of op-eds that we will be placing throughout the, local communities. And really, Truck Driver Appreciation Week is all about thanking the driver and the industry, but it's a true grassroots effort. And if we can highlight some drivers in different communities, it'll certainly bring it an attention, and hopefully they'll all get a nice thank you and pat on the back that they deserve every day of the year.
Absolutely.
But it's nice to highlight it at least a week a year, so it makes people sort of reflect on what the industry and that driver has done for them all year round.
Mm-hmm. It's good to remind the public. Absolutely. And the drivers need the recognition because they do a tremendous job for America. Where do people find out more information about Trucking Moves America Forward?
You can go to www.truckingmovesamerica.com. You can email us at tmaf@trucking.org. And if you go to the website, truckingmovesamerica.com, all of our social media addresses are on the site, and you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. We've got it all. We've got a number of good resources on the site too that you can download videos and any of the social shareables you can make into posters for your work rooms or for your younger kids' rooms to try to get them to get into the industry as well. So lots of free resources there for everybody.
And if people want to, they can go to Michigan International Speedway on Saturday and they can learn more about you guys and see Safety Sammy and you see the car that you're being featured on. This is going to be way too much fun. I really appreciate it. Elizabeth Barna and Wendy Hamilton have been with us today to talk about Trucking Moves America Forward. I really like what you guys are doing. This is exactly what the doctor ordered, if you will, and it's what the trucking industry needs. And thank you so much for what you're doing for our drivers and the transportation industry.
Well, thank you for having us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Have a great day and stay safe.
Absolutely. You're listening to TNCRadio.Live. Coming up is the Evening Surge. I'm Shelley Johnson. Thank you for listening to another great interview on TNCRadio.Live and the Truckers Network Radio Show. All of the material you hear on TNCRadio.Live on our website, our broadcasts, or our podcasts are copyrighted. There can be no distribution without the express consent of TNCRadio.Live and its partners. For inquiries, write us at info@tncradio.live.